they're talking, all paying attention.
And our names got announced. We were like, why are we here? What's going on?
What's happening?
Look at all these people. Hi, Carly. Hello. Look at these beautiful people.
This is the way.
Look at that mysterious woman. This is the way.
The way.
Yay.
Okay, end of interview.
Oh gosh. Well, I am so excited to have you here, Katee. It's nice to meet you. I don't think we've met before.
I don't think we've met.
We
How
haven't.
are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
this
you.
is the way.
I'm sorry. She did an amazing Bo-Katan for Halloween this year.
I heard this.
It
I've
looks
heard all about this,
incredible.
and I think I might have seen videos of
Yeah.
it.
Did any of you guys see this? I'm sorry. I'm not the moderator. I'm gonna be quiet.
I'm just quietly geeking out right now. Like now I have to do this panel like a normal person. Okay, great. All right. Well, I thought we'd just jump right into it. So whenever I was thinking of questions to do, I thought that we would do like a journey through the Mandalorian, what the pre-process is like going into creating the show and then ultimately getting it out to the world, to everybody like us. So Carl, I want to start with you. I want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, you are.
Because not only are you an actor, but you've also directed a couple Star Wars episodes.
Yes.
Which were amazing, I will say.
I was really fortunate that we had really good actors. Unfortunately, neither of them are here today.
I knew that was coming.
You know, I just had to do that. It just had to. And we were
And
really,
one
we
of them's the
seriously.
child.
Yes, and one of them, we really don't want that little one here today. Pain in
Not
the
today, he's a
butt.
pain.
But anyway,
His ears are too big.
fortunately we have Emily. And guess what? We have Katee. So
Definitely.
we got two monsters here.
That's right.
In a good way.
Speaking of monsters in a good way, Dave Filoni pulls from, directors like Kurosawa and Seven Samurai, and I wanted to know, what do you pull from as a director? Because the episodes you've given us have been just so good.
I wish I could tell you something that would really be like, wow, but I pull from the script. I mean, they write a good screenplay or a good teleplay, as it were, and you have good actors, and you do your homework, and you know how to tell a story visually, and you have a great DP, director of photography, and a great crew, great producers. So my job is then just to herd the cats. All these very cool cats, see what I mean? Just to keep them going in the direction that we want them to go in to tell the story. And my God, you pull from everybody you've ever worked with. You steal from all the best. From the American best, from John Ford to Scorsese, to Jon Favreau, to, good Lord, who else? Coppola, you name it, pull from all the best. And hopefully when the great editors that we have on The Mandalorian get their hands on it, they will put that together in a way that makes you look good. Ta-da!
They make you look phenomenal, all of you.
Thank you.
Of course. So I thought now let's dive into the process of developing a character in Star Wars. So I'd like to start with Katee and kind of go in order, if you'd like. As the original voice actor for Bo-Katan in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and now the live-action actress, what's the process been like? Basically, bringing an animated character into that live-action medium.
Yeah, so I think for myself, when I came in to do Clone Wars, especially the first couple episodes, because I don't think anybody really knew what Bo was going to sort of turn into in Clone Wars and Rebels. So when I was in the booth, primarily my job is to deliver what Dave wanted. What does he want her to sound like? What's the cadence he wants her to speak with? Things like that. And it really has very little to do with me, to be honest. When we did the second season of Mando, my first episodes, those first two, I didn't know that Bo was coming back in season 3. So what I really focused on with Dave and John and Bryce, who did my first episode, was really, I didn't want Bo to be distracting to the story that was already in place, and I wanted her to feel instantaneously recognizable to people who'd seen Clone Wars. And so I really just sort of trusted what they wanted me to do with the character, and I wanted her to, you know, one of the main things I wanted her to be was as still as possible. I wanted her to be methodical. But then in season 3, when I got the scripts and I realized how much she was going to be in the season, I took more ownership of her. And I really wanted to put my sort of thumbprint on her, if you will. And I think that there's a vulnerability in Bo that I wanted to explore this season. Yeah, so it was really just, I constantly was asking myself, where has she been? Where is she going? And what does she want? In every scene, and then the collective episode or season. So yeah, I think that that's really helped me this season with her. But I think that Clone Wars and Rebels was really just Dave. I was Dave telling me what to do.
Well, it was incredible. And pivoting off of that, with Emily and Carl, the armorer, and not only Grief Karga, I will say it's High Magistrate Grief Karga.
Thank you.
They both had not been previously established in the sense that Bo-Katan was. So, how much influence did you have in the creation of your characters? Did you know what they were going to look like, know how they were going to be previously to the script that was written?
The script, yeah. Well, I've never been part of something that is so secretive, so I didn't have a script for a really long time. Even in the audition, I knew that they were sort of like dummy sides, and all I knew about her, I mean, she started to take root in me from that beginning audition, and all I knew was that she was the Zen-like leader of a group of people in hiding. I didn't know who they were, I didn't know where they were, I didn't know where they fell in the Star Wars universe, but in a way that was a gift, because I love that I didn't really know what I was getting into, because I could just do my work the way I always do, and I prepped for this audition the same way that I do every other, and worked hard to find what clues I could, and because there wasn't much available, I used my imagination. And I guess that there was enough of that again sort of like gave them a feel for what I could do, because in the audition I wasn't, I didn't go in with like a bag over my head or something. They could see me.
I think I should have. That would have been really funny.
I know, right? I'm gonna do that for all my auditions. Might have a better chance. But I did focus more on what I was doing physically and tried not to use my face so much. And then it really, I mean, like Katee said, because I knew so little and because I trusted these incredible storytellers, I just grabbed the clues that they gave me, and then went, let that develop in my imagination and tried to add some things. But the Armorer is really a character who is stripped down more than probably anyone else I've ever played, and that was sort of scary to me at first, because I trusted that there was going to be power in minimalism, and that it would be very useful to the story to not know too much about her, which was easy because they didn't really tell me much about her. But then actually living in that space as an actor can be very uncomfortable for me, because in real life, as anyone who has ever spent any time with me knows, I'm very fidgety, I'm all over the place. I like to move, I like to be in motion. That is my natural rhythm. So it was just a process of trusting what they were telling me and their feedback, and really letting myself breathe into that and resist the urge to try to do more. And I mean, I was supported by all of the wonderful actors around me, and by our directors that I worked with that first season, and until, I trusted them until I could trust myself, I guess.
I love that. And Carl?
Wow. acting for the camera, for me, is so different than acting for stage. You know, I mean, really, really different. Because you don't have an opportunity, number one, to rehearse something over a period of time. And so you really are being, in a strange way, somewhat spontaneous on a day-to-day basis. You may make all the best plans that any actor could possibly make on what you want the character to be, how you want them to sound, where you want them to go, blah, 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 blah. But then you stand across from Katee, you stand across from Emily. They have a certain rhythm, a certain pattern as human beings. They have worked on a character and they have made all kinds of plans, and we come in on a given day, and guess what? Somebody's got a headache. It's gonna be different than you thought it was going to be. Then you've got a director who has got his or her own ideas, and so that's gonna throw into the mix. I personally do all I can, number one, to learn the lines, which somehow is getting harder and harder to do. But do that and then come in, and I do this whether I'm in front of the camera or behind the camera. I have a question that I ask myself. What am I gonna learn today? And so if I'm open, then I seem to be able to allow myself to just be present to what's going on and find gems that I never thought I would find, you know? Now in the case of this particular show, The Mandolorian, since I was there from the beginning, before we shot one episode, and John had pretty much, I mean, I'd met John at the DGA Directors Guild, so that's how we originally met. And when he asked me to be a part of this, he just kind of laid out what it was in a very brief way, because he wasn't giving away too much. And when I went in and met and saw this great artwork that was done to sort of tell the story of what the Mandalorian was going to look like, then of course right away, you know, any informed actor is going to go, aha, there's a certain tone that you see there, there's a certain style that you see. So all of that worked for me right from the beginning. I had ideas as a result of that, right? And then finally, I got a chance to read script, right? Before I said yes, even though I was gonna yes no matter what. It's Jon Favreau, of course I wanna work with him. I read the script and I get an idea from the cadence of the words, just the way the character sounds, the way the script reads. And so I got ideas of who this guy should be. And I always cheat. It's like having watched movies and being a fan of movies, being a fan of actors as I've grown up, and now as a professional I even study even more, because I really want to be informed as a filmmaker. There was something about the character that reminded me of John, oh my God, what's the man's last name? No, absolutely not. Brendan Wayne, who is in the show, is John Wayne's grandson, so he maybe remind you of John Wayne, just the way he walks and everything else. But no, oh my God, wonderful, grand actor. Chinatown, he was in it.
Jack Nicholson.
Say it again?
Jack Nicholson.
No, not Nicholson, the other John. Houston, thank you. Somebody in here watches movies.
Thank you.
So there was something about John Huston, the way he speaks, and the way he takes over the room, sometimes with a certain cadence, you know? And I just found that to be really phenomenal way to sort of go at this guy, from that kind of personality and that kind of largeness. You know, in his own way, John Huston was his own Orson Welles, if you will, because Orson Welles had a style that was very much the same. So anyway, long story short, that's kind of how I go at it and how I went at this character and you know, who Grief Karga is and was. And I gotta tell you this too, we had the great benefit of having, shit, man, my brain is gone here after today.
It's the con weekend.
No,
It's affecting all of us.
the German director, Werner Herzog, right? And Werner has a certain kind of style again, when you hear Werner speak and you see him walk, it is so commanding in a very understated way. And so I steal, as I said, I steal from all these people because building a character that feels vaguely familiar and at the same time has a kind of uniqueness to him or her, to me, an audience gets it, even though they don't understand what you're doing and they shouldn't see the work. But boy, it reminds you of those people who have that kind of largesse. So that's my long-winded story of how, Grief Karga, for me, came about.
Amazing. Incredible. So, speaking of set life, and I was talking about this with you yesterday, do you guys have any interesting mishaps that have happened on set? Any helmet bumping, anything?
I have so many of them. So many of them. I mean, in season 2, when we were storming the bridge in the last episode, I flew over a stormtrooper, and I flew what felt like 8 feet. And I just stood up and I went, "The armor works!" I landed so hard, and I was actually surprised. I don't know if anyone in here has ever fallen, and as you're falling, you just think to yourself, shit, this one is really gonna hurt. And I was thinking that as I was falling, and then I was like, I'm fine. This is great. So that's one. They're all the time. It's constant. I've peed in my suit on accident. They gave me a zipper and it didn't work. I tried.
That's on them. Yeah.
That's on them.
Yeah.
And whoever was handling your armor afterwards, it was on them.
It was.
Awesome.
Well, we had, we had such great wardrobe that the wardrobe kind of dictated sometimes how you had to move, And for Grief Karga, the stuff was so elaborate and so heavy because it was layers upon layers. And we had such a great designer who, bless her, is no longer with us.
Shauna Trippick.
Yeah, Shauna, who did such beautiful work. And in the 3rd season, of course, she did this crazy ass outfit with this long cape and the 2 little crazy creatures behind me. And not only am I dragging this thing along, but you want to move naturally, so if I turned a corner or something, this was the deal. I'm dragging it, and God, it's like 10 feet long. So if I want to turn, I got to whip the thing around, right? So the little crazy characters on wheels would fly around. It was like, wow, man. But it just added something to the character. There's another kind of regal quality about you in a long cape and all this finery, and you're whipping it around with your hand and trying to do it stylishly, not look like a klutz,
Changes the person.
All of that stuff contributed to these characters, I think, for us all.
I have said since season 1, because the beginning stages of all of us wearing the armor, and that we shot episodes 1 and 3 at the same time, and we were all kind of trying to find the language of movement for these Mandalorians in front of the camera, as Carl was saying, because acting in front of the camera is very different from, I've done mask work on stage, and it's a different thing because the audience sees your entire body the whole time, so you don't ever feel like you're really cut off from communicating. But trying to understand how that was going to translate on film with close-ups, with wider shots, was, it was so much fun. But it was so ridiculous. There's so many outtakes that I want them to release that would make the best Three Stooges movie ever.
We need that immediately.
I had this tiny table, which Katie well knows about because she had to sit at it, and we've decided we're gonna have Bo and the Armor are gonna have a talk show on Mandalore at the tiny table. What was it, Tiny Table Talks or something?
Table.
Yes.
Yeah, like Tiny Table Talks.
Yeah, tiny tabletop.
It's like the
Pinkett
red
Smith's
table.
Red table, yeah.
It's
Can
so
we get
tiny,
that?
by the way, that Grogu just has to like step up.
Yeah, Grogu's just like, what's up?
And we're sitting at this like it's completely normal.
Yeah, and then that first season when Din Djarin first comes in, and when we first had that, I remember I was working with Brendan in the suit, and we're both trying to like find the right way to squat and still look like very majestic, and so we're both going down at the same time, and we just kept hitting helmets, and that happened a lot. And I would fall over things, and I dropped my tools all the time. I mean, the armorer would not exist without the magic of editing. She would be a very different character if you got to see her from start to finish in any given scene.
You know, if I could I just throw this in, because I think this would not, you'd not have this question, I guarantee you. Part of the beauty of being on the other side of the camera, and working with both Emily and with Katee and anybody else in those helmets, you don't realize how challenging it is for actors in that when they're talking, but you can't see their faces. Because most of us communicate so much through our eyes, and then people are also watching your mouth move. But under that, if you don't move your head to give inflection to the things you're saying, there's no way anybody who's watching it on watching it through the screen, right, your television screen or any other screen, would ever get a sense of any kind of performance there. Because all you see is this helmet that doesn't move. So you've constantly got to sort of make gestures, you know, to communicate and let people know that somebody under there is actually alive. Because you can't, particularly in close-ups, you just got a head. And if nothing's moving, man, it's like, they're not under there. That thing is just sitting on a mop handle.
Are they asleep?
Yeah,
Is that a mannequin? Do they? Is that a stand-up? Very cool. Well, thank you so much for these stories. I love hearing about all the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian, and I love watching the galleries of everybody. And I watched the other one. I think it was the making of season 2, the one before. Spoiler alert. Luke Skywalker. But you were discussing about directing, and it's just very cool to see, you know, what happens behind the camera, basically. I also want to encourage the audience to come up to the microphone that's right in the middle for audience questions. Awesome.
Anyone?
And as you guys are lining up, we're going to get to as many people as possible. One more thing I wanted to point out. I wanted to mention, Emily, you are the ambassador for the Voices Against Cancer. And I just want to point this out and thank you for being a beacon of hope, not only in the Star Wars galaxy, but the world. And as the armorer, we're going to try not to get choked up. You've really taken to heart what it means to take care of the foundlings. And you've done an amazing job helping the foundation give kids a voice. So on that, is there a way people can help support the Voices
Oh my
Against Cancer?
gosh, I was not expecting that. Thank
No,
you. I mean, look, there's a long line of people in the Star Wars universe who give so much, and I am just happy to be a part of that. But yes, and Katee actually was at the convention this year for Voices Against Cancer. It's a phenomenal organization that's based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they both fund pediatric cancer research, but they also have built this incredible community of support for kids who are going through cancer treatment, for the families of those kids, because it impacts everybody. And you know, the siblings that are watching their brother or sister go through that and maybe aren't getting all the attention, but they're still going through their own experience. And so you can go online and you can read more about them, but I am doing a raffle for an autographed Funko Pop. The tickets are $5, and you don't have to be here to win. We do the drawing on Sunday, but we'll get your phone number. And this weekend in particular, I am going to be giving all the money to the family of a little boy named Spencer, who you may have seen on my Instagram. If not, you can go see, who is one of the most special little people that I have ever met. And he unfortunately just found out that his cancer is terminal and that there's nothing else that they can do. And he is such an example of walking the way. He is so loving and inspiring and giving to other people, and he has so much peace when he talks about it. He is wise beyond his years, but he's had a huge impact on me, and I know on everybody who's gotten to meet him. And there are just countless kids like him, unfortunately. So yeah, we try to help out all those families and those kids.
It's incredible. Thank you. All right, let's get right into the questions.
A former Philadelphia Eagles head coach is Andy Reid. Linebacker Carl Weathers played for the 1970 and 1971 Oakland Raiders. He became a movie star as the amazing Apollo Creed. One of my favorite lines in the movie is, "There is no tomorrow, Rocky. There is no tomorrow." Carl, what were some of your most memorable scenes or lines from the first 4 Rocky films? I enjoyed every one of them.
This is a Star Wars
Rocky!
panel.
One of my favorite lines was, "Oh, the check cashed." Okay, great. That's one of my favorite lines. After every movie, I just want to make sure the check's cashed.
How about some memorable scenes?
Well, one of the most memorable scenes, taking that check to the bank and making sure.
He's the one to talk about
Those are the scenes of Carl's life.
That's it. That's it. After it's over, man, it's over. I'm on to the next thing, you know? But I appreciate you and your love for those movies, and I know everybody involved in them, all those who are still with us, you know, Sly and Tally and so many others, but you know, we don't have Burgess anymore, we don't have Thayer David, we don't have Bert
Young.
Bert, who just a couple of months ago passed away, and Joe Spinell many years ago, and a young woman who played my wife in the first and second movie, no longer with us, but you know, it lives on, and I'm just happy that I had the good fortune to be a part of it, and that people still love and are inspired by those movies. So thank you for everything you did by going and seeing them and still going to see them. Thank you.
All right, got to squat down here a little. But I had a question for all of you. Filming The Mandalorian or in a different show, has there ever been like a moment where you had a last laugh? Either if it was like a part in the show where you wanted it to go one way and you try to convince everyone, oh, I really wanted to go this way, but then somehow it didn't turn out, but then it did. I don't know if that makes sense, but...
It makes no sense whatsoever. But I get what you're asking, because I would have asked the same kind of goofy question, okay? Hey man, I don't know, these ladies might have an answer.
I got one that wasn't really me, but I do know that originally the armorer was supposed to die in that fight at the end of season 1 when John first wrote that scene, and he came up to me oh so casually at one point and he was like, yeah, so originally I was gonna kill her off and then I decided not to. We're just like, thank you.
How do you take that news?
I like that. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna one-up you, okay?
All right.
Just because you reminded me, that's
Were
all.
you supposed to die too?
I was supposed to only do 1 episode.
Oh my God.
I mean, when I first was asked, wait, but it
This is a
gets
great
even
question.
better. It gets even better, because now you reminded me. I was supposed to be in one of these get-ups like one of the monsters that you see, you know, who are just an alien kind of character. And I remember the same thing.
And you were
John
like, you're
came to
gonna
me-
hide this?
No, I'm serious. You know what? You're not far off. No, because here's why. Think about this, okay? Think about
Look at this.
Think about this. Think about this. You're gonna hire Katee Sackoff. Now you're gonna put her in a mask and make her look like some creature from another planet. Why hire Katee Sackoff? Hire somebody else, okay? This face is valuable. This is a valuable face.
My face
People
is
wanna see
not
that
valuable
face.
at all.
Okay?
No value to this face.
Yeah.
But you're not a creature.
No. So John came to me like, I don't know, maybe before we started shooting, of course, like 3 weeks, and said the same kind. You know, I decided, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to leave you as Carl Weathers. All I thought to myself was, really? really? That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And here we are, 3 seasons later, it happens to be Carl Weathers, thank God. Okay. Funny. But that also says something about John. Says, oh, you know what? I think I have something there. Let's not mess it up. Bang. Let's go with what we have here, Bang.
Wow, thank you. This question is for Katee. With season 3 that I loved, with the bond that Din and Bo built and the romantic undertones.
Says you.
I don't know. But I was curious, there was no goodbye after that beautiful build-up. So do you think they will reunite in the future?
I mean, if you never say goodbye, then you never have to have it be the end, right? I don't know. I think that I think that number one, I don't think that there were romantic undertones personally.
Tell yourself that.
I think that was just long hours with myself and Brendan Wayne developing a really, really strong friendship, and we spent a lot of time together. And I think that a lot of times when you're acting with somebody whose face you don't see, I think that sometimes you tend to, or I tend to, look more deeply into that person because I'm searching for their expression.
Felt like romantic undertones. I'm sorry. I saw lust. I'm sorry.
Did you? Only from me, you did. Because you can't see it from him. I don't know, you guys. Sex would be really complicated. They would just have to have sex at the Living Waters to constantly be redeemed.
They don't have to take off their helmets.
Yeah, do I dare ask about the helmet? How does that work?
This is getting really X-rated.
You know that everybody wonders about that with the Mandalorian.
We all wonder.
I agree. I wondered, okay? I wondered
people
about
are into
Grogu.
that.
That's how much I wondered.
There's a lot online. Every once in a while, someone.
I do not want to know.
Every once
read
in a
those
while,
things.
someone will send me a picture
I'm
of
sorry.
somebody with a Bo-Katan helmet on and lingerie, and they're like, I didn't know Bo had an OnlyFans.
Thank you.
OnlyFans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mandalore.
Thank you to all 3 of you because I think you're great. But my question is for Katee because Katee is my favorite. So, Katee, if you submitted to 23andMe, what percentage do you think would come back as Mandalorian, and what percentage would come back as Caprican?
I mean, that's a good question. I like that you didn't think that she was a Cylon, so I appreciate that. Thank you. You're like, in which percentage would be a machine? I think that it's hard. I played Kara for 8 years of my life. Well, granted, I've played Bo for over 10. So I guess 60-40. 60-40 Mandalorian, 40% Caprican.
Thank you.
Good question.
Okay, this guy's question is for Carl. What'd you say are the similarities and differences between playing Grief Karga and Apollo Creed?
Night and day.
This is the similarity.
Minus 40 years.
Good answer.
Is it 40 years?
Hey,
or
hey,
30?
No, here's all I have to say. They just answered your question. I have nothing else to say. Okay, it's perfectly done right here. I'll accept both. Hey, there was only the same guy who was inside both those costumes. That was it. That's all. That's different, man.
So I don't want to get too far into on-set gossip, but What's it like working with Grogu? I heard he's kind of like a diva or something like that. Yeah, he's just craft services.
I have blackmail photos because he was flirting with me on Valentine's Day when I couldn't be with my husband.
Oh, first scoop.
I told you this show is going downhill. Downhill. This is no longer going to be Disney, okay? We're going for, what is it, OnlyFans or whatever. I mean, Grogu hitting on the armor. I mean, wow, man.
Bumping helmets.
I mean, he's 50.
Thanks.
My question's for Carl. What was it like working on The Predator compared to working on Star Wars?
Here we go again.
Well, what is it like? Well, working on Mandalorian is technologically amazing because that technology didn't exist during Predator. Working on Predator was, what is it, how many of us? 4, 5, 6, 7 sweaty guys running around the jungle grab ass. Real different, you know?
Every time I take a drink of water, you say something that makes me want to come out of my nose.
You know,
Sounds like an
look,
awesome time.
I wish there was, you know, I really wish there was something that was so profoundly magical that you could have these answers that would just blow people's minds. But we all do what we do because we love what we do, but it all requires basically the same thing. A lot of hard work, focus, concentration, try to be artistic in what you do and collaborate. And if you're really fortunate and have a great director or a great cinematographer and obviously great words, right, great script, you might get lucky and people might remember the work you did because they want to watch it again and again and again. So I never really even think about that kind of stuff because every time is the first time, you know, every project is a different project. Requires you just to be as good as you could be at that time. Utilize everything that has gone before in your life and try to sort of fit it into that bag of that character and that script and that role and blah, blah, blah. So I wish I could say something that was really like, wow, man, look at how different. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's somebody says action, somebody says cut. And between those two words, you got to put as much in as you can into that performance and make it as realistic, as believable, as current, as energetic, as true as you possibly can. And if you're lucky, if you're really lucky, camera picks it up and what's transferred to you, the audience, is something that's magical. And there's no explanation other than that, really, about how it gets done. And you know, again, if you remember it, it's just because we got lucky on that one. And hopefully we want to replicate that luck. That's it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for just one more question. I'm so sorry to cut it off now, but we're at time very shortly, so.
Make it for one of these ladies, come on.
A question for Katee. I was wondering if you could say a little bit about your experience working on Longmire and how working with that character.
God, it was what a wonderful thing. You know, I wrapped Battlestar in 2008, and I felt like I had been in space for a while. And then I did 2 failed pilots back to back where I was the lead of these shows, and I thought to myself, I feel like I skipped a step. You know, like I wasn't ready to carry a show. I needed to step back into a show where I wasn't the lead because I obviously wasn't ready for it. And Longmire came my way, and the script was just wonderful. And I was so excited to play somebody that was from a real life place.